Hey everybody, welcome back to Review the Nerds. I'm Vincent.
And I am Mike, and for this episode we're going to be going over the 4-part crossover event with the Arrowverse, which includes Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. That's a mouthful there.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of this Arrowverse for a while. It took a while for you to get on board, but I have a personal opinion that I think that each show starts really strong and then slowly fizzles, some sooner than later. I am currently not too into the more recent seasons. So me coming into this, I've been kind of falling behind, and I only watched a few episodes for each one of these seasons. But I know that this was an anticipated moment for a lot of fans.
Yeah, I mean, they've been building this up for a while with promotions, having like a little Fight Club video that they released online of all the heroes, like doing all that stuff. And yeah, no, they were promoting it. It was going to be, the coming November 28th, beginning on Monday with Supergirl and all that. It was going to be this big, huge thing, and I was excited. I want to see these characters interact, because, especially since Supergirl takes place in another universe, and so she's only ever met the Flash, to see her interact with these other heroes and, all the other interactions.
Well, I think you're hoping for Justice League before the Justice League movie.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. So this 4-night crossover event started on Supergirl. But after watching Supergirl's episode, we realized this was actually more of a 3-night crossover event, because 98% of that Supergirl episode had nothing to do with the crossover. Nothing. It was just like twice Portal shows up, disappears, and then Portal opens again, Barry and Cisco come through. Oh, by the way, just throw this out there real quick. There's going to be minor spoilers coming up. We'll try not to give anything away, but there's little stuff. But anyway, yeah, so that if you are interested in this crossover event, honestly, you can skip that Supergirl episode unless you're watching the show.
Well, yeah, the stinger, which is the only part they appear in, actually occurs in the next episode. So if you don't watch Supergirl episode, you still see that moment that appears in it. You don't need to see it at all.
Yeah, and that's not just against Supergirl. The episode, I watched it.
It's a little against Supergirl.
I'm not against it. I mean, I have my issues with Supergirl.
It was false.
I have my issues with that series, don't get me wrong.
No, I'm not talking about the series. I'm just talking about the false advertising.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely false advertising. No, I read online that Supergirl, that episode was the highest ratings of that season so far.
They fooled her.
Yeah, and the reason why, because all the Arrow, Flash, and Legends fans were watching it. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, you can skip Supergirl. It really has nothing to do with the crossover event. Yeah. So then we go on into the Flash episode, which once again, they reintroduce Supergirl coming into the fold, how, why, and we get introduced to the Dominator, some alien race that is invading Earth. For what reason, we don't know why, but they're here, and they're mean-looking as fuck. I gotta say, they're mean-looking motherfuckers.
They speed through the introduction to this story so incredibly fast, because you're introducing multiple characters, you're introducing a new antagonistic threat with these aliens, and they seriously get everything rolling within 10 minutes. You have 4 hours to tell your story. You wasted the whole first hour, and now the second hour, you just shove it all into 10 minutes, and then we're supposed to kick off with everything. I don't understand who the fuck these aliens are. I kept thinking that I missed something. I was like, wait, did I miss an episode where they introduced these characters? And suddenly you're supposed to immediately feel the threat. I don't. I'm not invested. And yeah, it's all thrown together and slapped together in 10 minutes. I thought that was weak.
Yeah, and plus in this first episode, we see the aliens. We learn a little bit about them.
Barely.
Just a little bit. Just that they have a name.
They have a name. Maybe scary.
Yeah, menacing. They got their fangs.
Yeah, they have like kind of like looks like almost like a brain thing.
Yeah.
Almost. I don't know.
But we do get to see the heroes meet each other, the ones who haven't met before. Supergirl gets brought into the Arrow universe this time instead of the other way around. And you know what? You think, okay, here we go, we're going to fight some aliens. And they don't. They really don't fight the aliens.
They fight each other.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. You get the aliens, they got some kind of mind control ability, so the heroes are like fighting each other. It's always cool to see heroes kind of fight each other, but
it's getting old to me. Like, each one of these superhero movies now, they're like, we have to have the heroes verse each other because everyone wants to see that. So I'm getting bored with it.
I thought the year of heroes fighting each other was over. I thought we were past it at this point, but apparently not.
Because at this point, it feels like a gimmick. It doesn't feel like it actually serves the story. And also, I'm so tired of this Flashpoint storyline in this season of The Flash. They're harping on this, and it doesn't even make any sense. For one thing, the Flashpoint was too late. They should have had it at the end of Season 1 when he went to his mother the first time. He already went through the development and personal growth beyond that point. For him to backtrack It felt like de-evolving the character. And then the universe, the Flashpoint universe he created, wasn't that bad. And yet he's acting like it's so horrible just because Wally gets hurt and he has to change everything back. It wasn't bad enough to change everything back.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely... When you compare it, if you haven't read the comic or seen the animated movie that was based on it, the Flashpoint storyline, the alternate timeline that he creates... The world is literally going to crap. There is a world war going on between the Atlanteans and the Amazons. And a whole bunch of other stuff is going on, but that's pretty much the major
it's apocalyptic.
thing. Yeah, I mean, in fact, the movie ends with him barely getting out of that history and resetting the timeline back to the way it was.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, a nuclear bomb gets set off.
Yeah, I mean, so the Flashpoint of this of the television series?
Weak.
Yeah, but anyway.
Weak. And the stupid soap operas that are connected to this Flashpoint thing, I'm just like, okay, Diggle... You don't remember having a daughter, okay? Like, you're sitting there crying over someone that that never existed to you. Your son, so what? Would you rather trade your son for a daughter? I mean, your son's all you've known. You loved your son.
Right.
Why would you want to trade your son for...
I can understand Diggle a little bit, because it would be kind of like if Lila had a daughter... she gave birth to a daughter that Diggle never knew about during the period they were separated, and maybe the daughter died in an accident or something. So in that way, I could kind of see him being upset. But at the same time, yeah, there is that. I mean, some of the Legends get pissed at Barry too because they've been trying to fix the timeline, and then it turns out Barry's been fucking it up. So I understand the Legends being irritated because he's literally making their job so much harder.
I just get kind of tired of the soap opera drama. There's a lot of it in the CW superhero shows, and sometimes, like, in the early seasons, it's not so heavy. Like, I didn't think, like, the first couple seasons of Arrow was too heavy with it, or the first season of Flash was great. It was great. It had the right balance of drama and comedy completely. But it's just getting so heavy with, like, melodramatic...
Anyway, so moving on, the next part of the crossover was the Arrow episode, which also had to be Arrow's 100th episode. And this episode has a positive and a negative for me. Positive, what they did in the episode of the what-if scenario if, like, they didn't become heroes and their lives had stayed on the track they were, looking back to look forward. Good idea for a 100th episode, especially after everything all these characters have been through, properly executed. It can be really interesting, and there were parts of it that were definitely interesting. However, it really didn't progress the crossover storyline that much. It really just focused on the Arrow characters and White Canary and Adam, who are technically Legends now, but they started on Arrow, so they're still part of that gang. So, yeah, not a bad Arrow 100th episode, not at all. I really didn't have much issues with it, but as a part of the crossover, it just kind of held things back. I think it would have been better if them being in the, hallucination program would have been the first half of the episode, and the second half was all about them getting off the alien ship.
Here's the biggest issue with this four-parter. Each individual episode is catered to the show that's premiering it. So you're not really getting a full 4-episode story arc. You're getting it fractured into, like, its own individual sections. They had an opportunity with this story to tell a 4-hour epic superhero crossover, a cohesive storyline that ran for 4 hours. Instead, though, they break it up so you get your Supergirl episode, which is just a Supergirl episode, and then Arrow especially. This is a full-blown Arrow episode that's barely involved with the greater story, and once again, the aliens get sidetracked. The aliens are supposed to be the main antagonistic threat, and we have still yet to really get to know what the hell they're about. And yes, there's elements of the 100th episode of Arrow where I felt that, it served that role, I guess. It's just, though, it was annoying to watch because I kept waiting for it to connect to the 4-part story arc. And it really didn't that much.
Yeah.
We don't actually start getting real connections to the threat until the final part, which is the final hour of a 4-part episode.
Yeah, the final episode, which is Legends of Tomorrow, actually was probably the best episode of the crossover because, we finally learned why the Dominators are attacking Earth. They just fucking hate metahumans. Mostly Barry, because he fucked with the timeline. So we finally learned what their motivations are, why they've taken an interest in Earth. We finally get some great action sequences between the heroes and the aliens, though the location is very dull.
Well, yeah, let me take that, okay?
Yeah, I'll let you have that one. I know you got some stuff to say.
Yeah, okay. There's a line at the end of this 4-parter where they're walking away. It's the Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl, and one of them says something like, "You did it," and they're like, "No, we did it." It's like, no, you freaking didn't. Like, So many of you are having this redundant action sequence on one single rooftop when there's an alien invasion occurring across the entire planet, with multiple teams of aliens coming down in different cities, and you're fighting a group on one singular rooftop while the Flash and Supergirl are actually doing all the work. Like, they're the ones going around planting these devices on all the aliens while you guys are just fucking around with one group of them.
It would have been so much better if they, even though, yes, it's they're uniting as a huge team, but because it's a global attack, if they're going to go for global attack scenario, have the group break up into different subgroups, and they each take a different area that may be a high target area that they need to defend most, or something like that, or have a reason for the aliens to focus in on one city to attack.
I mean, I hate to say this because it's really predictable to have, like, a mothership, okay, but the only way I could see this making sense is if the group was attacking, like, maybe Cisco teleported them onto the mothership or something, but they need to actually be all attacking something that's relevant to the, control epicenter of this whole attack. Like, the fact that they're just fighting one group of aliens on one rooftop while all the other action's going on, literally more than half the cast are not doing anything of significance in the finale. They're really not. They're completely redundant. They're just fucking around. You could argue that White Canary on the Wave Rider, like, has tractor beamed the bomb or whatever the aliens were going to drop to kill the metahumans, and she's doing something. I don't know if Cisco's really doing it. He's kind of like her co-pilot, but I think he's just kind of there giving advice.
He was more annoying her than anything. He just kept her asking duh questions.
I mean, the action was flashy, it was well choreographed. It's just that it didn't really matter. One of the most important things in these superhero team-ups is to give each team member something to do, to make it feel like they all serve a role. The Avengers movies do this really well. This failed in that regard.
Yeah.
I mean, Professor Stein, I guess, had a little something to do, and actually his storyline...
It's actually just getting more interesting, I say.
His storyline was actually one of the better of the four-parter, because, like, I actually did think it was kind of interesting, the idea of suddenly... having a daughter exist that is a creation of a mistake you could say you made, but then debating whether or not you consider it a mistake now that it's in front of you.
Well, like Bob Ross, I would call it a happy mistake.
Yeah, I mean, his storyline was one of the better ones. It didn't feel heavy with melodrama. It felt natural to me, so I didn't have a problem with his storyline.
And it was already, like a lot of the other subplots of this crossover, it had begun on that character's show. Another little tidbit of moment, we both agree this moment was complete. We don't understand what it came out of nowhere, and like a lot of other things in this crossover, it came in and was resolved very quickly. There's a few things. Let me go over a couple. One minor one, where in the Arrow episode, Supergirl and Flash are with Arrow's team, and they're trying to hunt down this cyborg, and Wild Dog doesn't like Flash and Supergirl because they're metahumans. Next scene, they save his life. He's like, you guys are cool now. Was that even worth setting up that Wild Dog had some kind of, something against metahumans? Why? Pointless. They could have spent it on something else. And the bigger one, because it's the final episode, the big battle's coming, they all have to work together. All of a sudden, Green Arrow has an issue with Supergirl because of what happened on the alien ship. It's like, dude, Oliver Queen is amongst everybody on the team, probably the best strategist in understanding what we've got to do to take down this invading threat. And all of a sudden, and even Supergirl, she says herself, like, I'm your biggest gun. Now's not the time to take me out of the fight. She says it right to him. He's like, yeah, but it'd make me feel better if you weren't in it. Like, what? What are you talking about, man? And he comes in once again in the big fight at the end. Like, Supergirl saves his life, and he's like, at the end after everything, he's like, I may have been wrong. Yes, you were definitely wrong. She's the most powerful member of your team in the Flash episode. They trained against her, and literally nothing they do. Heatwave's flame gun, nothing against her. Atom's energy blasts, nothing. Firestorm, his fireballs, nothing. Seriously, she probably could have taken out half the aliens by herself.
Yeah.
Honestly, she could have been a team unto herself.
Missed opportunity. That's that's the main theme for me in the four-part episode. Missed opportunity. I wouldn't say it was terrible. I would just say that it was meh. It was very meh. Like, there was never a point where I was like, this is great. Never. Never.
I'll say this, it was cool to see all these characters together. For me, that was the coolest part, just to see them all together in the same spot.
Well, when they weren't whining, which happened a lot.
Yeah. And also, apparently, there is a kind of Hall of Justice-esque building, but it's like some kind of airplane hangar that's owned by Star Labs.
It's going to be, I think they're implying it's going to become...
later on down the line. And also, they have Supergirl, Cisco gave her a device, so now she can cross over into their universe, vice versa, whenever she wants to. So we'll probably be seeing more crossover events coming up in the future involving Supergirl. And I'm cool with that, because, unless they do some kind of, like, weird multiverse hybrid thing where they merged the universes, it's good to have these characters being able to cross over.
I mean, it seems kind of like convenient. I'm just tired of the repetition in some of these shows. Barry making the same mistakes over and over and over again. The first season was so fresh to me, and it was so fun, and yet it had really great twists, and it kept you on your toes. It's not like that now. Like, now I can predict everything before it happens. So I mean, I'm coming into this 4-parter already kind of tired and fatigued with the whole series. And I was hoping this 4-parter would reignite my engines, kind of be like, okay, this is why you like these shows to begin with. But instead, it just wasn't that great to me.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this crossover event was really disappointing, especially since they've done it before. The crossover event they did with Arrow and Flash involving Vandal Savage and Hawkgirl and Hawkman was done very well. It was a very enjoyable 2-parter that, yes, even though started on one show, ended on the other, it felt like one complete story, and that one show's theme or whatever was dominating. So they've done it before. I don't know why they couldn't do it again. Yes, longer, but considering
that actually leaves less of an excuse. When you have 4 hours to tell your story, I really feel like this thing was a misfire. I don't know. I for what it was trying to accomplish, I would say that it 75% failed.
Yeah. I mean, they could have filled some things out by having some really cool cameos instead of having lame cameos in that Arrow episode, which, once again, for a 100th episode is fine, but for a crossover, missed opportunities.
So Felicity going best team up ever. Wrong.
No. Felicity lied to us.
Yeah, she did.
Of everyone who would lie, why Felicity?
I mean, that's our opinion. There might be some people that loved it, but
if you enjoyed this crossover event, listen, all power to you. I'm glad you did.
But hopefully we made enough of a point where you can objectively understand why we have an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to still keep watching these shows. I mean, some of them maybe a little less. Well, anyway, guys, that's all we got for you. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please let us know what you're thinking down in the comments. And if you really enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel here. But until next time, I'm Vincent.
And I'm Mike.
And this has been Review of the Nerds. Catch you next time.